Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our family service today. Nice to have everyone here and there. So many people here in the Hondo, and good to be back again. Today, we have our guest chair people here. If you look down, we'll have a giraffe family who's gathered to be our service chair beings for today, and Mama Giraffe and the two little ones here, and Mama has her mask on, and again reminding us to be careful with the pandemic, to protect ourselves and others as well. And now the not so bad with the smoke in the air, but it's still there, and we want to be extra cautious. So even when you're working outside, you don't want all those particles in your lungs. So the mask is, again, very helpful and starting to become standard wear for all of us. So nice for her to remind us of that. And she's also keeping the young ones in line as they kind of playing with their onenju around their necks. Mom has her onenju, and so they're all ready for service. So we will begin our service today. Service order will be the reading of the Golden Chain, followed by the RaiSonMon. And I'll take my seat on the altar. SanBuJo, SanButsuGe will be the main chant, followed by Nembutsu and Ekoku. And then silent meditation with the sound of the gong. Then I'll come back for our Dharma message for today. Okay? So with that, we will begin with the Golden Chain. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. RaiSonMon. Ninjin ukegatashi imasure ni uku. Buppo kikigatashi imasure ni kiku. Konomi konjo ni mukatte dosezumba. Sarani izure no sho ni mukatte kakonomi o dosen. Daishu morotomo ni shishin ni sambo ni kieshi tate matsuru beshi. Mizukara butsu ni kieshi tate matsuru. Masani negawakuba shujo to tomo ni. Daido daige shite mujoi o okosan. Mizukara ho ni kieshi tate matsuru. Masani negawakuba shujo to tomo ni. Fukaku kyozo ni irite chie umi no gotoku naran. Mizukara so ni kieshi tate matsuru. Masani negawakuba shujo to tomo ni. Daishu o tori shite issai muge naran. Mujo jinjin mimyo no ho wa 100,000 man go ni mo ai o koto katashi. 我今検問し従事することを得たり、願わくば如来の真実義を消し立て祭らん。南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、ナマンダ、SanBuJo、SanButsuGe。 し Ryoga Sabun Kokuda Daichi Koshu Kimyo Dojo Shozen Kokunyo Nayon Nimu Toso Gato Aimin Doran Nisai Jippo Raisho Shinen Shoujo Ito ga Koku Keraku Anon Kobun Shinmyo Zega Shinsho Onga no Hi Rikisho Shoyoku Jippo Seson Chie Muge Jodo Shison Chiga Shingyo Keryo Shinshi Shokudoku Chu Gagyo Shojin Ninju Fuke Silent meditation. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda. Good morning again. Welcome to our family service today. So we have a couple connections, a little bit connected to the Dharma message last week when we were talking about the movement of Buddhism from India to Japan and to America. And in Japan during that time was the Ikko Ikki revolt, uprising from the lower class, the peasants and farmers in Japan. And so I wanted to talk a little bit connected to that. And also another connection is that during our talks in preparation, it was mentioned that we don't often talk about Rennyo Shonin. So maybe we could have some talks about Rennyo Shonin so we could be a little more familiar with him. So when you look on the altar, the main image is Alameda, and on this side, Shinran Shonin, and on the other side is Rennyo Shonin, the seventh patriarch, okay? But because we don't mention him too much, many people are not familiar with him. So in Japan, when they had this Iko-iki uprising from the lower class, that was the time when Rennyo Shonin was prominent. And so he was a voice and a position that they all respected, probably very key figure at that time. So they would all listen to his words and to, he wasn't leading their uprising, but certainly he was so well respected that they all acknowledged him and listened to what he had to say. And so, again, during that uprising, it was this lower class of Buddhism, of Japanese culture that came up, and these were the Jodo Shinshu followers, okay? And there's just so many. The Nembutsu teachings had grown in popularity, so more and more people, just by sheer numbers, they become a force to be reckoned with, right? And so because of this, the people in power were concerned about them, and who are these people, how do we deal with them? And so they were kind of afraid, and there were these battles that happened, numerous skirmishes, and so they were feeling that like they had been the downtrodden levels of society for long enough, and now they have this Jodo Shinshu teachings, and all beings are welcome to have this spiritual awareness and awakening, and so they are no less than anyone else in society, no matter what level they were born into. And so they were feeling their power, seeing so many of them and growing in influence and in power, and just by numbers. So it is with this that Rennyo Shonin stepped up, and he, from his position as the leader of Honganji, he provided these rules of conduct, and I wanted to share some of these with you. And so it's very interesting to think about those times, so many people, and this is what he had for them. He wrote in a letter, "If there are any of you who have heard the meaning of our tradition's other power faith and become decisively settled, you must store the truth of faith in the bottom of your hearts. Do not talk about it with those of other sects or others not of our tradition." So, bringing out the specific Jodo Shinshu teachings of faith in other power, Amida's power, that awakens us. And so, with this, we should hold this deeply in our hearts and not talk about it so freely, but hold it dearly and deeply in our beings, in our hearts. And so have it mean so much to you that it is something essential to your life as a person, and hold it deep within us. Okay? And so this is our recognition and our understanding and our appreciation of the Nembutsu teachings. So, not just to follow, but to have that kind of depth of awareness and understanding, and then hold it close to our hearts. Okay? Then he wrote in this same letter, "Furthermore, you must not praise it openly in the presence of such people, on byways and main roads and in the villages where you live." So you don't talk about it openly or flaunt it or carelessly gossip about our teachings are so much better than this other school of Buddhism or this other teaching, or Confucianism or different types of teachings that would be prevalent during those times. So if you are a deep and true believer of Jodo Shinshu Nembutsu teachings, you are not like that. You don't talk about it so easily and freely, flaunting this kind of thing. So again, holding the depth of the teachings very deep within us. Right? And one more thing he wrote, there's about 6 things, but we're going to cover 3 of them today. Next, do not slight the provincial military governors and local land stewards claiming that you have attained faith. Without fail, meet your public obligations in full. So don't hold it over others. Don't use it to belittle the others or the people in positions of power, the government. Okay, so continue to live your life, so fulfill your social obligations. Be respectful of the leaders of our community, of our country. Okay, so if you think about things like that, you look at all these followers in Jodo Shinshu Buddhism in the 1400s, 1500s in Japan, listening to these teachings, and it sounds like kind of a parental figure as pointing out how they should behave, how mindful they should be, how they should act in society and with each other. Okay. And if you think about it in the times today, you know, maybe those who are demonstrating and things are taking it upon themselves and not just being these quiet little soldiers. Maybe you see it in how our Issei Nisei generations, how they went to camp, marching into camp and listening to the government and not trying to be so militant or just following, and not saying that that's a better way, but at that time it was essential. His concern was that there were conflicts in society, and he wanted to gain the respect for Jodo Shinshu Buddhism from the other schools of Buddhism and from the powers that he had to be able to work with and to be able to work together to elevate the position and the respect that is garnered by the Jodo Shinshu school of Buddhism. So with that, he pointed out that the true followers of our teachings would act in this manner. And so from that time to 400 years later, you can imagine 400 years of families and teachings trying instilling these kind of values in their behavior. And maybe that is an influence that we saw here in how people acted today. No, I'm not saying that this is how we should act, but we can say that it was very powerful and influential at the time and necessary at the time when Jodo Shinshu was in those days of society in Japan. Okay? Does it fit all times or all circumstances? No. So you don't just necessarily have to follow these rules because Rennyo said it. This is how he influenced those times and the development of Buddhism, development of Jodo Shinshu during those times. Okay, so maybe something else is fitting now. I think that how we hold our faith deep in our hearts and not flaunt it, that part is still here too. In how we carry ourselves, our families don't talk about it so much. And if you compare it to how the Crusades of Christianity and how they made effort to convert people wherever they went, the Native American culture here, going to other countries, purposely going to other countries to push their religion onto people, to make them not be the heathens of the world, but to elevate them to the Christian teachings. So you don't see that in Buddhism, and this type of of leadership and influence that was held at that time was fitting then, and maybe the influence of it continuing for generations and generations. And we can see maybe aspects of that in our parents, our grandparents, and maybe we can see something that we can appreciate of that as well. So this is a little bit of the influence of Rennyo Shonin and why he is so well respected in our tradition. And there are other parts to this letter that we want to explore and share. So I would like to continue with this hopefully next week. So thank you very much for joining us for this service today. Please come up and oshoko here and at your homes. We'll light the incense in preparation for you. So thank you very much for being here. Let's close this service with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda.